can you explain why those markets would be tough? Like, for example, I live in New York and I would really like to get into it, but I don't live in Manhattan. But
Okay.
I'm just curious. I understand maybe the prices would be higher, but what would make it harder to find a
So
buyer if,
the
like, they're used to the prices?
here's the challenge is most wholesalers starting out, let's be honest, not a lot of resources, not a lot of
Sure.
capital, and they're trying to put money in their bank account. Okay. So you need to find someone that is a highly motivated seller. There's not a lot of motivated sellers in San Francisco, Manhattan, LA, and Miami. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Because there's always a standing market to buy them because it's such an established market. And the reality is, say you contract a property for $900,000 that needs a full rehab. They're going to beat you up so bad about a deposit and payment, you're never going to get past it. I'm just
Okay.
telling you, like that's the reality of it. When you start talking about houses under 200,000, most of these sellers they could care less, and that's the difference. So if I owned like a vacant piece of land in like L.A. and I had it on the market for 800,000, and say you're a wholesaler, and I go, I could let it go for like maybe 725. I'm like, that's fine. I go, listen, just give me a 10% deposit and then we'll send everything over to the title company. And then you're going to try to walk your way through on how you're going to get around it. And I'm not going to let you through because I don't want to waste my time. So
And I don't
the,
have
the bottom,
$7,200.
yeah. So the bottom line is they're more sophisticated sellers at those price points. Okay.
Okay.
And that's the
Okay.
challenge. The average person does not buy $1 million home and not, you got to understand their motivation to sell. Some of them can wait 10 years for a market to correct. Now, if I buy a home for $180,000 and say, I don't know, say Nebraska or something like that, and I lost my job and you come along and it sounds pretty attractive, I'm going to find a way to work with you.
Sure.
Period. And that's it.
Hmm.
I'm not saying it can't be done. It can be done, but you are going to beat your head against the wall for a long time. And if you don't have capital to back you up, it's really challenging. Like it would be hard for yourself to prove to someone at that caliber and level. Listen, I don't write the rules. I'm just telling you the reality of it. Like
No, 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 sure.
I don't let wholesalers buy my properties. Like I'm like, listen, I love you guys, but I've been through this. Like I know it. So if I put
Hmm.
one of my commercial properties on the market for say 2 million, I still have wholesalers and I commend them for reaching out to me, but I need a deposit. And if you don't have it, I'm not going to take you seriously. And then
Sure, sure,
I'm
sure.
going to tell them that, listen, just send over a proof of funds. You said you're cash. Man, when you start talking about like $1 million properties, it's hard to BS that stuff. And I don't want you guys lying at all. The way we teach at free wholesaling, we want you to be forthright and honest. So you want to look for markets where you have average median prices, like at or below, and you need to look at it. So I tell everyone, try to stay under 300,000. And you got to understand, 3 years ago, we were talking about staying below like 150,000. So like I'm in Florida, my average price point is like mid 400s. And you got to understand, I started buying houses at $20,000 and $30,000 when I started out. So
Wow.
I've watched this market mature. South Florida is quickly getting to a point where it's a pain in the butt, but I still wholesale, but I'm backed up with a lot of capital and I can do a lot of things you guys can't. But I've been doing this 20 years. My first 5 years, dude, 100% assignment of contract. Like I had no money. I was broke. I just knew how to
Hmm.
hustle and move. So I don't want you to beat your head against the wall. I'm not saying it can't be done. It can be done, but you usually got to have somebody like backing you up and doing it. So when you have established mature markets where everybody wants to go, like San Diego, that's a brutal one too. Why? Because it's probably the most perfect weather in the United States if you like that stuff. No snow, always cool, low humidity, the sun's always out. You know, other than the political climate, like what else can you knock in California? Like I went and visited that state. It's absolutely beautiful. I love it. But um, I wouldn't live there a long time because I think the government already takes too much of my money. You guys heard me written about that earlier. I'm like, I'm not going to go get, like throw, we don't pay state income tax in the state of Florida. We pay a corporate tax. We don't pay an income tax. So,
Correct.
um, you know, the thing in wholesaling, you got to find a place where you're going to have success. Most likely you're going to have success with markets you know best, but I put a caveat on it. If you're one of these ridiculously expensive $1 million priced markets, you are going to have a tough time working yourself around these sellers. They're a pain in the butt. Okay.
Okay.
They're
Hmm.
not your average people going to get an FHA mortgage. So um, the beauty of virtual wholesaling is you can pick any market you want to start in, and then you can live wherever you want to go. It has its own challenges by doing that. By all means, if you can do local, do local. But remember, if I'm in the valley, I'm sorry, I'm in the Bay. If you can find one deal a year and make $200,000 or $300,000, that's like that's better than any guy who does. I don't care if you flip 50 or 60 properties. To me, that's amazing if you can do one property. There's people that do that, but
Sure.
it's risky, man. Like sometimes you don't always make it. So you got to kind of like, I think markets are going to adjust here, but like I will tell you, the southeast part of the United States, outside of South Florida, dude, it's ripe. These prices are
Okay.
not going to stay at these numbers much longer because between California and the Northeast, and now Utah and all that stuff, their prices are pushing so high, everyone's being squeezed. Eventually, you know,
Gotcha. Okay, that
go
makes
to
sense
another
actually.
country and try to buy a property other than maybe like Greece or something like that. You'd be in shock how hard it is to buy a property. So a lot of people are coming in by America buying up properties, and um, think about it. When I first got married, I wasn't in wholesaling. I was in corporate America. I thought $100,000 for a house. I thought I was going to die. So part of it was my
Okay.
mindset. It was a poor broke mindset, but now I can look at it. But it's all relative, the amount of money going around. So you just got to find pockets where you think the growth's going to go, where it's still affordable living, where any family can move. And number two, always I kind of look at the weather. But the Northeast is established because that's where America kind of started. So it had like a huge head start on everybody else, and then everybody kind of migrated from there. So
Okay. All right. And then
okay,
the real reason why I was, I guess my real question that I wanted to ask you,
ask
but I
it.
just was curious about it because the previous caller mentioned it.
Uh huh.
But my real question is, so on like my own social media, I see a few agents that are promoting that they have like I guess distressed properties that need cash buyers.
Okay.
So I was curious, is there a way to approach them and like still wholesale the deal, even though it seems like what they're trying to do is
You
wholesale the
you
deal?
you can, but so number one, it's all relative. So if they're struggling selling the properties and they're not getting showings and they're not getting any feedback, and it's still sitting on the market, as time as time goes up by, your odds of getting a wholesale deal can increase. Meaning, because when properties sit on the market for a long time, they go stale after a few months. Like they're like,
Sure.
what's wrong with this property? You're going to
So
see
I
that more. You're going to see that more and more going on. The reality is, most real estate agents don't understand wholesalers, or what little they know about it, they have a negative connotation about it. So
sure.
don't approach them as a wholesaler. Just say, listen, I'm a cash buyer. Um, and just talk about the property and see if the numbers fit before you even go into the detailed explanation of what you're going to do. Because most of the time you're wasting your time. Like most numbers don't work on MLS. That's why it's on MLS. It has to
For
get
sure.
retail.
So
But
these properties are not listed. So they're looking for a cash buyer, right? So I don't think this agent is listing them at all. There and she even is providing the cash number they need, the ARV for the area. So
yeah.
it seems interesting.
Well, I have a conversation with them. Like some of my best deals have worked from conversations that honestly, initially I was scared to do, and it wound up being an incredible source for me over like a 10-year period. So the
That's
worst
what I
case
was
scenario is you have
curious
a
about.
conversation and you make
Yeah.
a friend. But like, don't use the word wholesale. I'm just telling with wholesale and real estate agents, it's like oil and water.
Okay, so should I
Just say, listen,
approach it as an
I have
investor?
buyers, and just say, listen, um, I have a unique group of buyers I work with that might have interest in these properties. Can you shed some more light on them and see what he or she says? And just
Okay,
see if the numbers work. There's no point in going knee deep into a real estate agent if
sure.
some agents they will not work with a real estate investor or a wholesaler because they had a bad experience. So it's like, you ever heard that person like, I had a bad experience with the dentist, so I don't want to go back to the dentist, or I had a bad experience with a real estate agent. So I always snuff real estate agents out because a majority of you guys spend too much time pitching real estate agents that don't even want to do business with you. So just
Okay.
theoretically go, listen, I got some buyers I work with. Usually they go, oh, so are you a real estate agent? Go, No, I acquired, properties like the ones you're listing. But the numbers got to work. If the numbers don't work, there's nothing I
The
can do.
numbers don't
So
work.
I'm telling them briefly what I do, and then I'm pulling away to see if they're going to chase me a little bit, because
Oh,
I can contact 100 realtors on the deals. I might get 5 to 7 of them that'll talk to me, and maybe 1 or 2 of them are for real. Unfortunately, those are the numbers. Now, those numbers are going to change as the market changes. But guys, if you don't have conversation, you never know what's going to happen with it. I once
that's
did a
very
deal. I
true.
swear to God, I went to an auction. I went to an auction just out of curiosity because I bought a bunch of properties in this area. In a very similar market we're having now, like 35 people showed up at the auction. I'm like, oh, great. Like, I don't buy properties ever at an auction. Well, they set some ridiculous reserve for it and nobody bid it on the property. And then I noticed the little old lady started crying, and the broker's like, we'll figure something out. That's what he said. So I waited till everybody left. I sat down. I said, broker, do you mind? Can I have a conversation with you? I want to respect you. I know this is your seller, and I know you're contracted on this property. He goes, yeah, yeah. He
Okay.
goes, you know what he said to me? He goes, you got an offer for me? I go, I think I do, but like I need to know what the hell's going
Maybe.
on here. And so I wait to see if they were open to him. I didn't attack them with an offer. And so, guys, sometimes timing is everything. The market is changing, guys.
Okay.
We're getting ready to roll into the holidays. You guys, this is only going to get worse on MLS. You guys
Okay.
have
And
all
then,
been waiting for this. Like, you've got to be excited about it. But remember, wholesaling is about helping people. Like, period. All I do are win-win situations. So if you're going to bring a realtor into it and they're going to find you a deal, you got to let them know what the win is for them. So make sure you take care of their commissions. The only other problem I have with the real estate agents is like, well, Rick, if you buy this property, when can I represent and get it sold for you? I go, well, let's see if the deal works out. I never overcommit, because the minute you commit to that, they think you're going to do a full fix and flip, and I don't do those. So just be careful when that one comes up, and just remember, test the waters out before you go knee deep. Otherwise, you're going to go on a 10-minute conversation, and they're going to like kick you out the door.
okay, okay, okay. Yeah. So, because that was my last question was, is this person, with that price, is their commission already going to be in there?
It's all negotiable.
It's all
It's
negotiable.
all
Okay.
negotiable. So a lot of times, um, you can kind of, like, most agents are getting 2 to 3% on average, so you
Mm-hmm.
can kind of figure out what they expect. But
Sure.
remember, what's 3% of nothing?
Zero.
Okay, so just say, listen, if I can get this to go through, I usually, um, if 1% usually insults them, but like 2% is enough to get their attention to it. But remember, you got to make up that fee with your new buyer. So like, if you look at it, and honestly, if you're making a huge fee, like, don't get cheap with the realtor, because you want to think about the next deal they're going to bring. Because a realtor that identifies a deal like that, they usually have a history of finding deals like that. So you want to
Yeah, so
reward them
I've been
for it.
following this person for like a very short amount of time,
Okay.
and they've already posted about like 6 different properties that they need a cash buyer for, and it's definitely fix and flip opportunities.
Okay. So here's what I do. I would, I assume you're just following them online.
Yes.
So we're talking our social media slang. You need to get on the phone and just try to form a relationship with them, because you're just a
Sure.
number until you talk to them. And the idea is you want them to tell you. A lot of times properties aren't selling because there's something they don't want to tell you about it. And the
Hmm.
sooner you can get that out, the better the deal you're going to get, and the easier it is to get the deal done. Because what happens, these agents get tired and tired of walking everyone through it. They just get to the point like, well, someone just buy it. They know
Hmm.
they got the wrong number. That's why they're working so hard to sell it. Remember, what, 8 months ago they could have thrown this on social media, it would have been sold in an hour. Now they're taking like weeks just to get people to contact them. It's
Okay.
only going to get worse, Christian. It's only going to get worse. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
You got to
Thank you
reach
very
out,
much.
because you have to take
I'm
a
going
shot.
to.
Because if you don't take a shot, I guarantee nothing will happen. Okay.
Yeah, so I was like kind of attempting to reach out, and I reached out in regards to one of the properties that they had listed, I think like a week ago, and she said that
Uh-huh.
it was gone already. So,
Reach out.
maybe she got some traction going, maybe she doesn't, but I'm
You'll
gonna
see.
definitely pay attention. I'm gonna play it by ear, and I'm gonna reach out for sure.
Just reach out to them, and maybe you're setting her up for the next property behind it. So you just got to figure out. Eventually, it's going to have some of these properties that just stick
Hmm.
and they won't move, because cash buyers are getting real smart about what they're paying for stuff. So um, you got to see what they sell for. But remember, guys, I'm all about working with a real estate agent, but it's tough. Don't let someone think you just contact. There's so many people out there. There's somebody actually out there selling. You ready for this? An MLS wholesale course. I can give you the course in about a minute. Okay. All you're going to do is take all the properties on the market and you're just going to email everyone offers, and you're going to have to send 100 to 300 per day. That's the course. Just send your $5,000 in. There's nothing yet, because the MLS is a very cold transaction for wholesalers. It's just a number. So like, we're not emotionally invested in the properties. That's why it doesn't work well. Their sellers are very emotionally attached to the properties, and that's why our offers really insult them. So we teach you about how to build rapport through freewholesaling.com, so you can soft blow them to hit them with that really low offer and make sure you don't get kicked out. In MLS, you got to find one realtor out of 100 that's not going to kick you out of an email, which is hard to do.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Yeah,
okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, man. See you.